Hey, what's up guys, it's BenBonk, and recently I've been developing my new game called Wrangle Ranch. If you don't know, Wrangle Ranch is a roguelike barn builder where you must grow your barn, purchase powerful boons, and wrangle animals to satisfy increasing points requirements. I've been developing the game along with fellow developer XraiDev for about 2 months now, and in this short time period, it's generally felt like we've made 2 years of progress. So today, I'm going to showcase what development progress we've made prior to our game's demo launch. And without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off, right now, there is no way to actually win in Wrangle Ranch. After every round or day, the points requirement would just keep increasing forever with no end state. So to fix this, we added in a win state to the game so the player could actually win after reaching round number 20. However, similar to other roguelike games, you can continue to go to endless mode if you'd like to create the most broken build possible. Next up, we also wanted to make sure our game had plenty of replayability. Sure, right now there were different and unique builds you could take, but we wanted even more replayability. So after some brainstorming, we came up with the idea for farmers in the game. When starting the game, we planned to have the player select a farmer to play as. Then, each farmer in the game would have unique starting animals in their deck and unique abilities to spice things up. We also imagined that the player would start out with one farmer by default and unlock more over time, so with this plan in mind, XraiDev went ahead and created this full farmer select screen. Now when the player hits new game, instead of just diving straight in, they would be taken to this farmer select screen. From here, the player could select which farmer to play as, which as of now there was just one named Old MacDonald, and then start the game. We didn't have any more new farmers yet, but having this system in place was a great start to add some more depth to the game. We also plan to add harvest levels here, which would be our game's difficulty system. With each harvest level, the game would become increasingly difficult with new challenges and increased points requirements. We only managed to fit one additional harvest level in the game for now, but I think this will be really fun to play around with later on. Anyways, moving on from replayability systems, one thing the game desperately needed right now was work on the boon system. Boons are what allow the player to create fun and broken builds by combining lassos of certain animals, and right now the player could only hold 3 at a time, which just wasn't enough. So we upped this limit to 5, which I think helped a lot. There also just weren't enough fun and unique boons in the game. Right now, every boon would give some kind of bonus for capturing certain combinations of animals. So for example, if I capture a pig and a sheep, I'll get 50 bonus points or something along those lines. However, we wanted to make more unique boons that didn't necessarily require certain combos of animals and would instead serve as passive buffs that could apply to any build. So XraiDev and I created a new system for specialty boons that would be denoted by these gray backgrounds instead of brown. We created a massive list of specialty boons and got hard to work adding all of our ideas to the game. And many days later, the boon system was feeling so much better. I won't go over every single one of these new specialty boons right now, as I really encourage you to explore them for yourself, but here are a few rapid fire examples. Biodiversity gives plus 10 points for each different species wrangled in your lasso. Capture clock makes it so each successful lasso adds 0.5 seconds to the round timer. Cash catch gives you a solid plus 2 cash per animal lassoed. Fairy bottle saves you from death 1 time if you don't meet the current round's points requirement. And finally, Veteran Farmhand makes it so all animals have their level increased by 2 while it is in your boons deck. Overall, I think these specialty boons added a bunch more depth to the game, but we still weren't done. XraiDev and I also wanted to make legendary boons. Our plan was for each animal in the game to have their own unique legendary boon that would change their behavior and create new and fun logic. So once again, we got to work ideating and churning out 10 unique legendary boons for each of the 10 animals in the game. After this very lengthy process, we now had some super fun boons to play around with. For example, the sheep's legendary boon would be Black Sheep, giving a spawned sheep a chance to be a black sheep, re-triggering your lasso and helping you reach those crazy exponential scores. The chicken's legendary boon would cause chickens to occasionally lay eggs that would give 1.5x molt when lassoed. And the dog's legendary boon would now make dogs chase predators away and give plus ×5 cash when lassoed with any other predator. Overall, these legendary boons were really exciting and game-changing in my opinion, so I'm really happy with how they turned out and the build depth they added. But if you want to add more depth to your own game, check out Bezzy, who is sponsoring today's video. Bezzy is a dedicated game development assistant built specifically for Unity. It plugs straight into Unity and understands your whole project, helping you code, debug, and take care of all the tedious parts of game development so you can focus on what makes your game fun. I've been playing around with it recently in Wrangle Ranch, and I genuinely do think it's a super cool tool. For example, with the help of Bezzy, I was able to ask it to create me a butterfly animal that distracts predators in the game with just one prompt. I was also able to ask Bezzy how this new code worked and review changes before they went live in my codebase. While I love Gamedev, there's so much boilerplate code and tedious tasks you have to do, and Bezi just takes care of that for you. I also just find it super neat how it plugs directly into Unity, so it actually understands your project architecture and gives you context-relevant answers. And I just like the overall fact that Bezi isn't trying to take game dev jobs away or eliminate creative roles. It's more of a personal assistant that can help you speed up your game dev workflow and enhance your skills rather than replace them. So if this sounds cool to you, download Bezi today to get 50 free prompts. Thanks to Bezi for sponsoring this video. But moving on, I created this wishlist panel that would pop up after a bit in the start screen that would encourage the player to wishlist the game on Steam. And if you haven't wishlisted the game yet, please consider doing so. We're at about 500 right now, and it'd mean a ton to me if you get that number up to 1,000, as it helps a ton with the Steam algorithm. Link is in the description. Anyways, another thing XraiDev and I had to work on in the game was general game balance. We spent a lot of time just adjusting prices of animals and boons in the game to be more accessible, and also spent many hours tweaking the points requirement scaling to get it feeling right. From testing, we ran into the issue that it was far too easy to get tons of cash in the game later on, so we ended up changing the cash mult system to be additive instead of multiplicative like the point system. So for example, previously if the player had two 5 times cash mults, they would get an overall cash mult of times 25. But with our new system, they would only get times 10 cash mult, so they couldn't get exponential cash super easily. Now, staying on the topic of cash, the place where the player could spend their cash, aka the shop, needed some work. Firstly, some players found that it was too difficult to read these boon/animal descriptions as there were lots of numbers all at once. So to clarify this, we added in a coloring system to dynamically color points bonuses, points mult, cash bonuses, and cash mult in the game. Another thing we wanted to implement was a weighted boon spawning system. Right now, each boon in the game would have an equal chance of spawning, which didn't feel right as we obviously wanted the rare legendary boons to spawn less frequently than basic boons. So I threw together a basic system to allow for this, which allowed me to give certain weights to certain boon groups. So basic boons would have the highest chance to spawn in the shop, followed by specialty, and then followed by legendary boons. But that wasn't it for overall shop manipulation. We applied a few more shop manipulation effects to make the shop feel better overall and ensure the player always has something worthwhile to purchase. Firstly, we made it so the only upgrades and boons that would spawn in the shop would be upgrades and boons for animals that you either own already or available for purchase in the current shop. Previously, it would sometimes be annoying that you get a boon that would spawn in a shop for animals that you didn't own or couldn't purchase right away, so this fix seemed to solve that problem and make every shop item intriguing. We also applied some other light manipulation, such as making no legendary boons be able to spawn until day 8, as the player couldn't really afford them before then either way, and we also made no super expensive boons spawn before day 3. Anyways, moving on, XraiDev and I then worked on some more quality of life features based on feedback from players. I started by making the player's animal and boons deck visible from the pause menu, and XraiDev added in these neat little boon icons that would pop up when scoring to indicate that a boon's effect was triggered. We also just did a bunch of overall small tweaks, balance adjustments, and bug fixes to get the game in the best state we could before our demo's launch. As for a rapid fire list of some of these changes, we added in these title screen buttons to allow the player to change the settings and quit the game more easily, we added in a bunch of new sound effects, we created this flower biome edition to spice up the visual variety, and finally worked on screen size scaling so the game is playable and consistent across all screen sizes. With all this done, the game felt like it was in a pretty good state, so XraiDev and I went ahead and emailed a bunch of content creators asking them to play our demo, some of which actually did, which was really neat to see, and then launched said demo. Speaking of which, the game's demo is live right now on Steam, so if you have some free time, please go and check it out. We're both really happy with how it turned out, and I think the game is really starting to come together in such a short time frame. We've also got lots of great feedback and reception so far, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. The link is in the description, so don't hesitate, go ahead and wishlist the game and play the demo right now, it would mean a ton to me. Anyways, that's all I have for this video, thanks so much for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next one.